Hey up Woodlanders, Hazel hurdles, they're all the same, right? I wanted to do a hazel hurdle buyer's guide. Springtime is the time of year when people tend to turn their attention towards the gardens, and these hurdles have become part of garden design. The origins of hazel hurdles began in the agricultural industry, in shepherds and looking after sheep. The use of these panels in agriculture has pretty much faded out now, but thankfully gardeners have adopted this style and incorporated them into garden design instead. And that is something I'm incredibly grateful for, because it gives me a job. But from a buyer's perspective, what is it about buying a hazel hurdle that's important to know? Which is a great question. In this video I'm going to try and identify some key differences that I think you'll be interested in as a buyer. Are all hazel hurdles the same? I think hazel hurdles are brilliant in a garden space. Because of their design, not only do they help to filter the wind, but also because of the traditional materials that we're using, it provides a cottage and a contemporary feel to a modern garden. And they also use a natural material that helps support woodland management and all of the biodiversity that goes with that. As you set off for some hazel hurdles to buy, whether that be a garden centre or whether you search online or whether you go to a country or craft fair, I think the first thing that I'd want to know is where exactly have these hazel hurdles been made and where have the materials come from? I've noticed because of the increase in demand for these in a garden setting, there's quite a bit that's coming from overseas. So we may think these have come from a fairly local producer, but in many cases they've actually come hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from another country. Now that may not present too much of a problem, we're a global market, but that for me is an interesting topic. Where exactly have they been made and how many diesel miles have these panels travelled to get to me? A second important factor I feel when buying hazel hurdles is how they're actually made. You may notice the ones behind me, I tend to put these in a softwood frame. It provides that more contemporary styling. More traditional hurdles, which are made of either hazel or willow at times, they would have had a completely woven framework where they would have been self-supported and twisted and looped together in the different styles, and that would have made them self-contained as a panel. Those are still available and they are still made by traditional coppice workers and woodsmen and woodswomen throughout the UK. But what you may notice is the fact that these rods are split in half. And I understand you might think, well, I'm only getting half a rod now in each of these panels, whereas some garden centres producing hurdles that are fully round rods, they're not been split in half. That's quite a significant difference. Believe it or not, a round rod will last a lot less than a split rod like these. The reason for that is when a rod is completely round like this one, it has all of the bark left on it. And when you leave bark on a very small round rod like this, it keeps moisture inside the rod for longer. You might think that's a good thing, but so do the bugs and the bacteria. And what they do is bugs, fungus and bacteria enter into the timber. They live underneath the bark where it's all nice and warm and moist, and they attack the timber. However, when it's split like this, it means the rod dries out, and even though it gets wet and dry through the years, because it's only got bark on one side like this one, it means then that the bugs and the bacteria can't get a hold on the wood anywhere near as quick as if the rod was round. So that is another key area to look for when you're buying your hazel hurdles. Have they been split like this in the traditional form, or are they in the round? Possibly those round rodded panels may only last half of the amount of time that the ones that are split would last. And the third area to look out for, again to do with how is the panel made, is how it's held together. I mentioned already that traditional hurdles have been knotted and twisted and looped together so that they are self-sustaining and, to my knowledge, don't have any nails in at all. Whereas the ones that are put together really quickly often may have one or two twists around the ends to hold the frame together, but the rest of it is held together with tiny little nails. And what happens is, after a few years, those nails start to rot and then the panel starts to fall apart because there's nothing to hold it all together. So that's another little thing to watch out for when you're buying your Hazel hurdles. If they're relying on nails, you've got to think, how long is this going to last? And just a little note at the end, with all of those differences, you may well see quite a significant difference in price. So I went online and had a quick look at some of the prices that they went for. And yes, you can get panels cheaper than I can make them for, and that is fine. Will the hurdle that's made cheaply and quickly, how long will they last compared to one that's been made more traditionally that doesn't rely on nails to hold it together? So as you see, not all Hazel hurdles are quite the same. It's entirely up to you who you choose to buy your Hazel hurdles from. I admit I am a maker and a supplier of Hazel hurdles. This is not necessarily a promotional video to make you buy what I make. I'm grateful for people who buy what I make, but this is not what this video is about. It's more about an education so that you're better informed and you now know that not all Hazel hurdles are the same. Now, of course, all natural products have a lifespan. So if you're interested in how long you can expect your Hazel hurdle to last for, by all means check out this video up here. And if you're seriously considering buying some Hazel hurdles, or you've already bought some, and you want them to try and last just that little bit longer, then you might be interested in this video. Thank you ever so much for watching this particular video, and if you're able to, enjoy your garden space, especially with some Hazel hurdles. See you on the next one.